Saying goodbye is never easy, but it is an inevitable part of life. And this is what Douglas Spaulding learns in Statues from Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. The facts about John Huff, age 12, are simple and soon stated. Why he could live underwater for 2 minutes and slide 50 yards downstream from where you last saw him. The baseballs that you pitched him hit into the apple trees, knocking down harvests. He was, in fact, the only hero living in the whole of Greentown, Illinois, that Douglas Spaulding knew of. And right now, he and Douglas were hiking out beyond town on another warm and perfect day. John Huff had been speaking quietly for several minutes. Now, Douglas stopped on the path and looked over at him. "John, did you say you was going away?" "Yup, I got my train ticket right here in my pocket." "Woo, woo, clang, 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 shoosh, shoosh, woo." John took the yellow and green train ticket solemnly from his pocket, and they both looked at it. "Tonight? No way! Tonight we were going to play red light, green light, and statues." "How come all of a sudden? Why, you've been here in Greentown my whole life. You can't just pick up and leave." "It's my father. He got a job in Milwaukee. We weren't sure until today." "Well, good grief. Here it is with the Baptist picnic next week and the big carnival and Labor Day. Can't your dad wait till then?" "No." "But John, we're friends." "We always will be." Well, you'll come back and visit every week or so, right?" "Dad says maybe once or twice a year. It's an awful long way, Doug." It was 7 o'clock. Supper was over, and a group of boys were gathering one by one. House doors slammed as their parents cried at them not to slam the doors. Douglas, Tom, Charlie, and John stood among half a dozen others, and it was time to play statues. "Just one round, then I gotta go home. The train leaves at 9. "Well, who's gonna be it?" "Me." "That's the first time I ever heard of anybody volunteering to be it," Tom said. Douglas looked at John for a long moment. "Start running." The boys scattered, yelling. John backed away, turned, and began to lope. Douglas counted slowly. He let them run far, spread out, separate, each into his own small world. When they had gotten their momentum up and were almost out of sight, he took a deep breath. "Statues!" Everyone froze. Very quietly, Douglas moved across the lawn to where John Huff stood like an iron deer in the twilight. Far away, the other boys stood, hands up, faces grimaced, eyes bright. But here was John, alone and motionless, with no one rushing or making a great outcry to spoil this moment. Douglas walked around the statue one way, walked around him the other way. The statue did not move. It did not speak. "Now, John, don't you move so much as an eyelash. Why, I absolutely command you to stay here and not move at all for the next 3 hours. Doug, freeze. Doug, I gotta go. Not a muscle. It's the game. Doug, I just gotta go home now." Now the statue moved, took its hands down out of the air, and turned its head to look at Douglas. They stood, staring at each other. The other boys were putting their arms down too. "We'll play one more round, but this time, I'm it." "Run," the boys ran. "Freeze," the boys froze, Douglas with them. "Not a muscle. Don't you move a hair." John came and stood by Douglas. "Boy, this is the only way to do it." Douglas felt John walk around him as he had walked around John a moment ago. He felt John sock him on the arm, once, not too hard. "Well, So long, Doug. Then there was a rushing sound, and Douglas knew without looking that there was nobody behind him now. He stood, frozen. The other statues had put their arms down and walked off, but he didn't notice. He stayed that way for a full minute, waiting for the sound of the running to fade, but it didn't stop. He's still running, but he doesn't sound any further off. Why doesn't he stop running? Why doesn't he stop? Then he realized it was only the sound of his heart in his body. He turned suddenly to look behind him, but the lawns were empty. Far away, a train whistle sounded.